once your spine has fused, you cannot improve your scoliosis. And I was told that time and time again, that your spine will only get worse. So we always thought that I had scoliosis going through high school. My dad and my sister both went to a chiropractor for their back issues. And but with me, because I didn't have any physical pain at that point in time, we didn't get it investigated or looked at. I think it was when I was 17 or 18, I then started going to see a chiropractor because my pain started intensifying. And then it was at that point where we found out that I think the angle at that stage was about 33 degrees. And from there, it was just, your pain keeps increasing throughout time. So when things never used to cause me any pain whatsoever, just things like going to the shops, I might have gotten sciatic nerve pain going down my legs, or lifting things, it wouldn't be as simple, or those sorts of things. There just started to be a lot of anything I tried to do, like running, would then exemplify the issues that I was getting. The first type of treatment I went with was the chiropractic treatment, and I was probably there for at least 5 years or more. But over time, it stopped working for me. After that point, I went to, or at the same time as going to the chiropractor, I ended up going to get a remedial massages done. And so those work for a point in time, and they still do give me some muscle relief, but they weren't sort of treating the issues. So issues were still coming up as a result of the scoliosis as well. I tried things like yoga, Pilates as well, trying to build up, say, core strength and those sorts of things. But effectively, I wasn't doing it correctly because along with the scoliosis, I'm hypermobile. So I would always resort to doing what I thought was the right movement, but effectively it was the completely wrong movement. So I wasn't building up the strength how I should have been building up the strength. In some degrees, I felt improvement. Like I felt stronger, and I felt like my muscle strength could get me through it. So I could say I built my leg muscles up, I wasn't as reliant on my back. But then as soon as I had to do something that was regarding my back or lifting or anything, then I would start being problematic again. And the other thing is, like, in all those times when I was going, say, getting chiropractic treatment or going to the gym, quite often they would repeatedly tell me that you shouldn't be going running, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing this. And but they weren't teaching me how to do it. It was just sort of like a blanket canvas that, no, you can't do it. And that sort of didn't really work. So it was avoiding activity. So I suppose it was when I started running where some of my the pain started intensifying. But I was also getting older. I was sitting at my desk a lot more, so it could have been attributed to those factors too. And it was just running's my stress relief. And they were constantly saying, no, you're not allowed to run. You're not allowed to run. And well, why shouldn't I be allowed to run? No one at any point in time sort of really helps me to develop my running techniques and my capability to be able to run without pain. My sister had previously had a bad experience with a physio, so I always avoided physios. But I always thought that what a physio did was they treated an injury. So say I was to trip and fall and hurt my ankle, a physio fixes your ankle. That's always what I thought a physio did. I thought it was just simply fixing a particular problem that arose, as opposed to, say, helping improve long-term conditions that people have, and having goal-oriented approaches and figuring out the actual root cause of the problem. Now I know that quite clearly that you fix the underlying problem. The key difference, I think, for me was that I found out that you would be able to work with me to figure out what I would like to help the underlying issues that I have. So analysing my movement. So rather than just saying, no, Becky, you can't run, you're analysing my movements. When I'm running, you're seeing how that's interacting with my scoliosis, and then you're helping me to improve that technique whilst also helping me to improve my scoliosis as well. Whereas I think I always just thought it would be that, okay, here's some exercises for scoliosis, you go home, you work on them, and then you might come back in, say, 6 weeks' time and we'll check again. But it's certainly not like that. We definitely focus on fixing the scoliosis. But we also recognize that some of the issues from me come from when I am doing the exercise. So how do we actually improve that at the same time so that we can improve the scoliosis treatment? And unlike my sister's experience, where it was kind of the physio walked in the room, gave a few exercises, walked out of the room, it's completely different. Like we work together every single session, and yeah, never alone kind of thing. You're helping me, you're guiding me, you're looking at my techniques every single step of the way. We're filming different things that I do on my phone, so I can go home and do the exact same exercises with some confidence that I am doing it right, as opposed to relying on what I used to do, which was doing things incorrectly but thinking I was doing them right. So I first came here when I actually had a shoulder injury. So my preconception, when the massage therapist couldn't fix it, the chiropractor couldn't fix it, I came to a physio to get my shoulder fixed. And when I was doing that, I got to see Derek. And Derek worked with me to fix the shoulder issue that I was having. He gave me exercises, we worked together doing different techniques. But I'd also looked at the Physiolab's website. I saw Sean was specialised in scoliosis treatment as well. I spoke to Derek about it. So Derek actually he took a look at my spine, and it's quite evident where the scoliosis is. And he definitely agreed, and he recommended that I go see Sean too. So it was funny because at one time Derek was seeing me for my shoulder, and Sean was helping me with my scoliosis. And it's a team-based approach. So it was never sort of a competition between anyone. It was that we're trying to do whatever we can to help me. And that was really good. And what I learned here is that, and we've had some of the x-rays and stuff show that, well, we are actually improving some of the angles that we have. So whilst the spine is fused, we've managed to get some improvements. And I think the key to that is figuring out the exercises that you should be doing, how you should be doing the exercises. Like, I never realized how much I was reliant on my flexibility to get me through the day. But what was happening is, because I was reliant on the flexibility, I wasn't developing any muscle mass whatsoever. My muscles were sort of, on one side of my spine was more atrophying, the other side was more spasming. I now know how to sort of balance out different parts of my spines and the movement. I know how things feel. And knowing how things are meant to feel is really important. So like, I used to be able to lift some heavy things, but everything, all parts of my body would sort of be locked in the elongated form. And then as soon as you're meant to lift something how you're meant to normally lift things, I realized I couldn't lift much weight whatsoever. So I think that was something I learned, is that there's been times along the journey, like we had people who told me I couldn't even run 2 kilometers, then getting a physio who let me run a half marathon, for instance. And during that process, we had people who might have taken a look at my ankles to get taping and stuff done. So it was a whole big team experience, as opposed to just that you see one person and that's it. It's a really nice environment here. It's a very personable environment, and yeah, it's completely different to what I would have been expecting at the start. I would strongly suggest that if they were having issues or they did have scoliosis, and you can tell by just sort of bending over if you have like different lumps on your back and stuff, if you have scoliosis, is that to get it treated, to go to a physio, go to an expert, find out what the expert thinks, and do the exercises and build up your strength. The earlier you do it, the better. It is probably going to be, I'm guessing, a lifelong process of doing these exercises, ensuring that I have the strength. But I wish I did it a lot earlier. I remember going to the shops once, and I had this sciatic nerve pain that went down my leg, and my mum basically caught me when I was walking, and I was about 18 or 19 at the time. And I think if I went to a physio earlier, I probably would have never have experienced that. And like, I can't remember the last time where I got a sciatic nerve shooting down my spine, shooting down my leg, which stopped me from walking. So yeah, my first thing would be to definitely go see physio. I would also suggest that you keep exercising. Exercising and building your muscle strength is way better than just sitting down and letting your back deteriorate over time because you don't have the muscle support there to sort of help stabilize yourself. That would be 2 things. I'm not sure on the third. But yeah, it would be definitely, and I know my parents also regretted not getting me to see, at that point they thought like a chiropractor earlier, but yeah, after time's gone by, we definitely regret not seeing and getting help for the issue earlier. Things like carrying bags and stuff and those sorts of things to school obviously probably wasn't the best thing in the world, but yeah, going to the physio, doing the exercises, all of that is probably the most important thing. And yeah, I think lots of people don't realise about like scoliosis and how impactful it can be over a long period of time. So it's like, oh, it's not hurting now, oh yeah, I've got a curve, it doesn't matter. But eventually things will start going wrong and you need to get that treated and sorted. And the earlier you're aware of it, the better you are to develop that stability in your core or in the muscles beside your spine to help you going. And yeah, something I didn't say on the camera, but my shoulder issue that I was having was actually attributed to partially the scoliosis as well, because the muscles around that shoulder blade weren't being used effectively. So basically the blade was just sort of hanging in the joint as opposed to, working. And the gap between the shoulder blade and the spine was quite small there, for instance. So yeah, it all came back to the scoliosis and I just didn't realise. Don't let anyone else say that you can't do something. Always get, and I wish I did, get a secondary advice, get some advice and opinions to help you. We can improve it, and you can be pain-free whilst doing it. And you become more aware of where your pain is and what could possibly be causing the pain. So, like, I might now know that, okay, I've got a particular issue, but I'm pretty sure I know where it's also emanating from, whereas I would have never had that awareness in the past. That's something else that I learnt.